Yeah, so I'm also at Turban High School, and I'm pretty new to this whole walking out thing. I don't understand much about it, really. What purpose, if you don't mind me, I mean this not to come off, what purpose does this really serve? I mean, really, we're just walking out. It's not going to do anything, really. I mean this in like the kindest way possible. What's the purpose?
Yeah, I think there's a question probably on a lot of people's minds, especially where maybe ICE hasn't come to your city. Maybe you're in a more like rural place, where there hasn't, been a lot of like prior walkouts or anything like that. And I think it's important to take this as an opportunity to get organized now. Um, like I'm a member of Socialist Alternative here in Boston, and we've had a lot of people had ICE come into their city, and there's been these major escalations in terms of um, well, like students walking out or unions, like we see in Minneapolis, unions coming together and stopping work. The idea coming up is to stop work, stop school, and stop shopping. It's to shut the economy down. And these actions don't have a lot of effect if we do them in isolation or in a like disorganized way. But um, that's part of why we're here today, so we can like coordinate with each other. But the fact that Minneapolis, like a lot of its leaders, like a ton of organizations and unions have called for this. They've also called for a statewide strike as well, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to show up and show our solidarity with the workers and with the students and with the people of Minneapolis. And you know, if that's all you can do, like you can also meet people, you can establish connections for when ICE might inevitably come to your city. And being connected puts you in a much less vulnerable position, I guess.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, my name is Mark, and I'm a student at Florida Atlantic University. And yeah, I'm a member of Socialist Alternative as well. Yeah, I think that was a great question. Why are we doing what we're doing? And I think the answer is that successful organizing requires like a series of escalating actions. If we were to say like let's all like revolution on Friday, like it just like wouldn't happen, right? So we start with like low hanging fruit. We start with like winnable goals. We start with like something that's like achievable, and like by starting with those things, we can like raise people's confidence, we can like raise people's expectations. And I think that these like low stakes events are like an opportunity to like draw attention and to like build momentum. And then after we've done something successful, we can draw in more supporters. We can show that like the way to create change is through collective action, and more people will want to join us. So then we can take bolder actions, and then again and again and again. So we don't start with like everybody go on an indefinite general strike and in a week. We know that nobody would actually come out, but instead the task is to like how do we like organize. So yeah, the best place to do that is like the places where we already are. So like let's start with our schools, the place where we have the most influence. And if we start with a walkout, maybe eventually we can build up to a strike in the not too distant future. If we could start talking to our teachers and the faculty that work at our school. And what if we were to walk out and strike at the same time? So that's like an example of like an escalation. So we're building towards bigger and bigger actions. But the fact that we're like coordinating across the country, I think makes it like more powerful than if we were to do them in isolation, like another comrade was saying. So yeah, I hope that helped answer part of your question.
My name's Addie. I use they, she pronouns. I'm a member of Socialist Alternative up in Milwaukee. Um, uh, I also helped plan a walkout at my high school before I joined Socialist Alternative. I am going to come in real quick to try to answer the question of like why walkouts specifically, and why we're sort of taking that up. On some level, a walkout is basically a strike, just like a strike of students instead of a strike primarily of workers. And in order to make this strike most successful, a strike is fundamentally like trying to shut down the profits of the businesses in order to gain things from those corporations. A walkout essentially serves the same purpose by aiming to shut down the school system and escalate organizing among students and workers. So when you're planning a walkout, some of the things you should consider are like, is there a teachers union at my school? And how can I get in contact with them? How can I get them involved? How can I try to get the teachers to walk out with us and actually shut down the school? How can we like connect with other community organizations? How can we like plan something beyond this? Can we maybe use the walkout as a tool to organize like another action or link up with like a strike that is going on in your city? The January 23rd stuff is super, super exciting, specifically for that reason. So yeah, I can stop there.
All right. Thanks for that. Got Michaela, and then looks like I have Samir. I probably have time for one more person. We take half-baked thoughts, we take quarter-baked thoughts, whatever's best for you. We take questions. I think these past couple people coming in have said really good things, but I think a really important part is its ability to shut down business as usual. Students can do that well. Workers can really shut down the flow of profits. And that's really how we can, provide the basis for both like win demands, but also provide the basis for a whole new society, which is socialism. Sorry, that was a bit of a yappage.
Hi, yeah, I'm Samir. I'm a member of Socialist Alternative in Milwaukee. And I was planning to come in on that question about like what is the point of the walkout? I think like the people who spoke before me like motivated that really well. But there is a little more to add because like, yeah, when you go on a walkout or organize a protest, or as we're working towards these solidarity actions with the Minneapolis strike, like your audience isn't actually just like the ruling class. You're not just putting the ruling class on notice. You're also like spreading the idea of going on a general strike, to your own city, or if it's, if you're organizing a walkout, that could be inspiring walkouts, in other schools in your area. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about like, Milwaukee's already had a couple spontaneous student walkouts at a number of different high schools, which is really positive. But they could be improved even farther if like multiple schools were to walk out, at the same time and to coordinate. And I think this is something that's been brought up before in the conversation, but just to like sort of concretely talk about like what we're doing to make that happen. If you're like looking to connect with people at other schools in your area, or whether that's like students or teachers, like keep an eye out for like what other sort of protests and actions are going on, because there's a good opportunity to meet people. We attended like a local school board meeting where there was a number of students who were showing up to like protest against over policing in schools, and the people there were drawing out the very natural connection between like the over policing that's happening in schools and like the looming threat of ICE presence, just like contributing to like a really serious atmosphere of fear in the schools. And that was an opportunity. We met like people from 2 different local high schools as well as teachers. And yeah, like there are activist teachers that like will help to like mobilize their students to events or help motivate like joining a protest to them, so they can also like play a positive role in making a walkout happen.
Like I would also like to say, like, to the earlier point, like why really do we walk out? It's like I feel like you know, in New Haven specifically, like we organized a walkout that won nearly, like, with a bunch of different high schools from across the New Haven public schools when their funding was being cut, and we won like nearly half of their funding back from that. And you know, I really feel like the students and like the youth layers specifically are usually like the first ones to be organized and radicalized, and are really like play a role in pushing the masses into struggle. So yeah, and I also feel like, you know, we also talked about, like, I guess a little bit of like the pessimism like people might have for like the time to organize for this walkout. Like, but I really feel like, you know, the time kind of feels like now to be organizing for a lot of like my friends and a lot of people on campus. Like, I've never felt such a, you know, like such a revolutionary vibe in the air. So, and yeah, so I guess that's a little bit about what we talked about, but yeah.